Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Josh Poet with you, First Contact Radio. Hope you're doing well. Let's jump into things for today. We start off with our dream spell, as we do each and every day. Today's a Yellow Lunar Warrior. Yellow Lunar Warrior. Yellow is the color of ripening. The lunar tone, tone number 2, it's called the lunar tone of challenge. The warrior is the 16th symbol. The warrior asks questions, uses his intelligence. And the guide for today is the star. The star is all about beauty and elegance. So we put them all together, and our phrase for today is, I polarize in order to question, stabilizing fearlessness. I seal the output of intelligence with the lunar tone of challenge. I am guided by the power of elegance. On the Gregorian calendar, it is Wednesday, August 17, 2011. All right, and we're still moving along during the astrological sign of Leo. That'll be coming to a close soon as we move from Leo on into the next phase, which will be Virgo, coming up real soon. I'll keep you informed about that. We are still in the middle of a Mercury retrograde, getting closer to the completion of it, but we still have a few days to go yet. So don't sign any contracts. Just be smart out there in your communication. Sometimes it gets crazy. I know I've had crazy communications. I'm sure that you have as well. Anyway, let's jump forward past all of that into the story for today. Dirk Bradshaw is here to talk to us about the Reptillians. Dirk, over to you.
Flying high above the planet Earth, this is the Cosmic News with Dirk Bradshaw. You know, it's always important to be in the know, to be ahead of the game. And in order to do that, you need to listen to First Contact Radio with Joshua Poet. News and information they don't want you to hear.
Is that an NL probe? No, it's Dirk Bradshaw. He's back.
Hey there, boys and girls, children of all ages. It is time for the Cosmic News with Dirk Bradshaw. I am Dirk Bradshaw, and tonight we expose the reptilian race's plan to start concentration camps here in the United States. And tonight, well, you might consider. And tonight, well, I consider myself to be a well-traveled, a seasoned space traveler, as it were. And I've been all over this beautiful cosmos and have met millions and millions of alien species throughout my lifetime. And I can tell you right now, most alien species are the sweetest, kindest, well, aliens you will ever meet. Peace-loving, no agendas, want to stay on their home planet and not hurt anybody else. And then you bump into the of the universe. That would be the Reptillians. Yes, you know a reptilian when you bump into them. Arrogant, self-centered. They, of course, believe that they would be the masters of the universe. So tonight, we expose their agenda and what their plans are for you, the humans of Earth. Are the reptilians on Earth right now building concentration camps in order to imprison all of you? Of course, I don't need to say this. You definitely want to stay tuned. Watch this. Research it. Then think for yourselves. Because here at the Cosmic News Network, we encourage that kind of behavior.
Reptilian side of our brain.
We all need a David Icke. Quick question, just do you believe in the reptilian theory? For me, I don't have enough evidence myself to believe in it, but I think as a metaphor, it's perfect. The people that David Icke calls reptilians are certainly cold-blooded, and they care only about power. They don't seem to have very much humanity. So for me, the metaphor works very well, because we all have the reptilian brain, which is a simple, violent brain. So yeah, as a metaphor, for me, it works. But the reptilian thing is David Icke's thing, and I respect him massively, because I understand where he's coming from. I truly do. And throughout history, like painters and writers and artists and like write books have always portrayed demons as reptilians. Right. Yeah. It's throughout our history. Yeah, so it's a very common myth, like in mythology.
This is what a police state looks like.
If you had arrived from another planet, you could never have guessed which nations had spent decades mired in hostility. Now, you might call it the Fellowship of the Lifeboat. But, ladies and gentlemen, in that brief parting of the veil, I saw world leadership at its best, a glimpse of a hopeful future, one where we act together for the good of all, the world we have been trying to build since 1945.
Informed of a mysterious sighting in the east of England during World War II, the former Prime Minister hushed things up for fear of causing widespread panic. Former head of the MOD's UFO department, Nick Pope, explains more.
There's been some suggestion that Churchill tried to cover some of this up because he feared that it might undermine people's religious beliefs. I'm not sure about that, but he was certainly interested in the subject.
But is the weight of documentation enough for Pope to believe in little green men?
I'm convinced that there's life elsewhere in the universe. As to whether we're being visited or not, I don't know. I can't rule it out.
The files go on show at the National Archives for all of those interested in guaranteed sightings.
There are so many reasons why this whole New Age infiltration of the truth movement is dangerous, but that coupled with the alien agenda, the New Age agenda and the alien agenda, and 2012 ties into all of this. It's a very diabolical thing that's happening.
We call this, I call this enlightened sovereignty.
The rabbit hole goes so deep, it's staggering. And we're not even dealing with just human entities. We're dealing with non-human entities. We're dealing with entities that operate outside the field of vision of what we call visible light, which our eyes can see and appears to be this world. There are other worlds.
Well, David, I'll say this.
Penetrate this one, and it's involving those two. So this is really, really deep stuff that we're dealing with here. Not just what appears to be men in dark suits sitting around a table deciding their next move. Much bigger than that.
Well, no, I agree with you because I've studied the elite, and they believe they're in contact with entities. I've been to Bohemian Grove. I've covered Skull and Bones. I've read the Pentagon's own writings. They believe they're being given, every one of them. It says they're channeling things, that they're being directed at the highest levels. At the mid-levels, it's hedonist, it's Satanist, it's people that want money and power. At the top, these are very focused people working 18 hours a day, and they believe they're working for an entity that I can only describe as the devil. People can call it whatever they want. David, stay there. Let's look at some other contemporary...
I think most Americans feel that way, but what is still true is that there's still kind of a reptilian side of our brain.
To the President of the United States, on The View, really? The View? Is that more important than our lives, than our welfare? The people of New York need you. The last president before you failed us. We need your leadership. I will take this past the president. I'll go to Mars. I'll do a press conference on Venus. The American people will know.
TorontoTruthSeekers.com.
I recommend you check out Chris White. His YouTube channel is no as in knowledge, not as in negative. Nowhere to Run, 1984. Jordan Maxwell Debunked and Bill Cooper Debunks Jordan Maxwell are two excellent movies. Now, Michael Tessarian is Wrong, a debunkumentary on Michael Tessarian called Michael Tessarian is Wrong, and Tessarian, Rose and Cross are two excellent movies.
The one thing that people, generally speaking, do not want to hear
is the truth. Nobody is happy when they have to be faced with the truth.
Reptilian side of our brain.
There are some brave people, like maybe you here today, who are at least open to hear something that may conflict with what you believe or what you know, but at least you're truth seekers. That's what I have always been, as a truth seeker.
Reptilian side of our brain, right? That part of our brain that if somebody looks different or sounds different, that there's a part of us that is cautious. And what we have to do is fight against that. And
there's an agenda. There's a New Age agenda, the 2012 deception and the alien agenda are all tied together. And knowledge is power. If you understand what's been done and what's going on, then I feel so much better having gained some understanding, because I felt so overwhelmed about a year ago. And I can see, I feel like I've gotten to the end of the rabbit hole, and that's good.
We'll start by sending astronauts to an asteroid for the first time in history. By the mid-2030s, I believe we can send humans to orbit Mars and return them safely to Earth. And a landing on Mars will follow. And I expect to be around to see it.
Super Aliens DVD 2010.
I understand that some believe that we should attempt a return to the surface of the moon first, as previously planned. But I just have to say, pretty bluntly here, we've been there before. Buzz has been there. There's a lot more of space to explore and a lot more to learn when we do. So I believe it's more important to ramp up our capabilities to reach and operate at a series of increasingly demanding targets while advancing our technological capabilities with each step forward. And that's what this strategy does.
Saturn and his new world order better wake up. This is Jordan Maxwell.
Oh, man, I can't believe it's over. Where does the time go? Well, I see the fat lady's off the stage. She's looking right at me. It's time for me to go put her to bed. I hate goodbyes. So instead I'm going to say, until we meet again, I'm Dirk Bradshaw for the Cosmic News. Wake up.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Government should be afraid of people.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing. What they're losing from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, big brother's watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
objectivists is a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. This is Josh Poet. This is the UFO News. Let's jump into it. First story comes to us from, well, it says if you don't believe this recent, watch this recent mass UFO sighting. All right, let's check this out here. Now, again, all of these videos are up on our channel, firstcontactradio.com, right-hand side, UFO News. So let's go check this one out right now. All right. This is says worldwide UFO sightings are escalating at a phenomenal rate, being in every major city populated around the world.
China's skies forced Zhoushan Airport to stop operations on July 7th. Outbound flights were grounded after the unidentified flying object was detected by a flight crew. The incident has captured the attention of Chinese media. Theories about the UFO's identity are burning up on the internet as well. They include everything from a hidden U.S. bomber to an elaborate man-made hoax. For now, the UFO continues to be a mystery. A spokesman from China's Civil Aviation Administration confirmed to ABC News that the matter is under investigation.
Some Chinese residents are on edge this morning after another apparent UFO sighting. It's the second one in 2 weeks. The first sighting was on July 7th, and an airport had to be shut down.
All right, that's a UFO if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, can you identify it?
That's undeniable.
The airport had to be shut down after people apparently saw twinkling lights above the airport terminal. 17 flights had to be diverted. The latest sighting happened just 2 days ago, and people say they saw 4 lantern-like objects forming a diamond shape in the air, hovering in the sky for over an hour. And aviation experts say they don't know what it was. It wasn't a plane.
All right, I know we've seen some of that before, so just a little quick reminder of what's going on out there. Next story comes to us, says, this is from latestUFOsightings.net. Bright UFO flying across the sky above Sweden, August 16, 2011. Latest UFO sighting, bright unidentified flying object was recorded flying in the sky above Sweden. Footage was taken on Tuesday the 16th, which was just yesterday. Witness report caught one of the morphers on film again. They are up to something, as they usually do when the moon is visible around here. The moon has been visible now for several days, so the UFO activity, man-made or not, has been really high. This was from Cosmic Star Traveler. All right, let's check out and see what he has to show us here. Alright, there's no sound with this, but as it's moving along, there it is. We got the clouds up in the sky, and it's kind of hard to tell. On one hand, it kind of looks like there is almost like a flare off the lens, but then there's enough of something going on to realize that it's not just a flare. And as he backs the camera up, the flare stays, or whatever it is, stays consistent in one area. If he was moving the camera, it seems like it certainly would have been moving along with it. Alright. And yeah, there's the little diagonal line there. Alright, you see this up here? Quite interesting indeed. Let me zip forward, see if anything more happens. Nope. Other than it just kind of flies around up there. Alright, so there you go. That's the latest from Sweden. Let's jump over to the next one. Now, we're going to come to that one momentarily. Let's jump to this one here. Metallic cigar UFO spotted over Orange, California. California witness traveling south on Tustin Avenue in Orange reports having seen a metallic cigar-shaped object moving at a constant speed for 15 seconds before it disappeared on August 16, 2011, according to testimony from the Mutual UFO Witness Reporting Database. I noticed the object in the sky while it was at stoplight off of Tustin Avenue because it was shining or had a glittering metallic look to it, the witness said. Seemed to be a bit odd since it looked like a stick or cigar-shaped object that was moving at a constant speed, but quite fast considering how far away it was. It left no smoke trail and doesn't appear to be have any wings. The object looks out of place. I usually see airplanes flying across the sky in this area since we're near John Wayne Airport, so I can tell this object looks different. Let's see, there seems to be a picture here or a video here. Alright, let's get a look at this. Okay, let's see here. What do we got here? He's on the freeway and the witness is southbound. I'm not seeing anything in the sky in this picture. Nothing indicating where it is. Alright, the link's up at our page. You can check it out for yourself, see what you think, see if you can find anything. Illinois couple had enough after 3 UFO sightings in one day. This also comes to us from Roger Marsh at the Examiner. An Illinois couple has apparently had enough of the strange encounters after spotting 3 UFOs in a single evening, according to the August 15th, 2011 testimony from the Mutual UFO Witness Reporting Database. Her husband was outside when he asked his wife to hurry up and come outside, as he was looking at something unusual in the sky. His wife obliged. I stepped outside the porch and he pointed up to what he was seeing, the wife stated. I looked in the direction and the only way to say what it looked like was that it was a round-shaped, glowing red moving in a north direction, then turning slightly to the east for a northeast direction, moving up a steady pace, then going up higher until it was out of sight. But the sightings were not over. Later on that same evening, about an hour and a half later, directly above us, a bright glowing triangle-shaped object appeared out of nowhere, and was visually closer than the red object. It really scared me because I could make out the outline of it, and it was so bright I've never seen anything like it. It was also moving in a northeast direction and seemed to go up and disappear. And then later that evening, another object was observed, similar to the second object that moved northeast, moved up and disappeared. After that last one, I went inside. I decided I've seen enough. These things we saw were not airplanes, helicopters, balloons, etc. Very strange. No town name was mentioned in the public portion of the report, which was filed on the 15th of August. Alright. And here's an article here. It says, Journalists Who Shun UFO Reports Fail Readers by Bill Wickersham. This is from the Columbia Daily Tribune. I'm not going to read the whole article. I'll get the first part for you. Says for more than 60 years, innumerable well-documented reports have been made of sightings, landings, and crashes of unidentified flying craft, commonly referred to as unidentified flying objects, or UFOs. They undoubtedly are under intelligent control and travel at speeds and with aeronautical capabilities far exceeding those of today's known military and commercial craft. Testimony of reliable witnesses, including astronauts, generals, admirals, law enforcement officials, airline pilots, scientists, and many other highly credentialed individuals attest to the physical reality and uniqueness of these craft. Additionally, there is evidence some craft have been retrieved by military personnel of the United States and other countries. Furthermore, research has verified that several witnesses have viewed and have handled bodies of visitors that can only be described as extraterrestrial in nature. In 1999, an outstanding document titled UFOs in Defense, What Must We Be Prepared For, was published by an independent group of former auditors of the French Institute of National Defense and experts from several other scientific fields. Known as the Cometa Report, the study included the examination of some 500 international UFO sightings, including radar visual cases and previously undisclosed reports of commercial and military pilots. It also drew on data from official sources, government authorities, and Air Force and other countries. report further explored the political and religious implications of UFOs, as well as problems of disinformation, ridicule, and manipulation efforts by government agencies, and their vested interests and agendas. All right. You can read the rest for yourself. And the very last of the UFO news stories here today. Let's go back over here. We're going to talk about this more in this next part of the show here, because this is the concern right here, and you're going to hear why. Nobel-winning economist says alien invasion could improve the economy. Okay? They're planting seeds right now, my friends. They're planting seeds to get you to think there's going to be an alien invasion. We've talked about this before. I'm going to talk about it some more. Right here it says, I couldn't believe what I was hearing when Nobel-winning economist Paul Krugman mentioned in the interview below on CNN that the spreading required to repel a threat from space would possibly stimulate and save the U.S. and global economy. However, his logic may not be too far from the truth. With the numerous invasion, Hollywood-type thrillers, and recent documentaries, it is making many think that maybe we really are being prepared for a fake alien invasion. But what would our government get so desperate that they would in fact consider such a move? Well, let me remind you of the words of warning of the late Wernher von Braun, grandfather of the U.S. missile defense system. And the last card carol will be the extraterrestrial threat. And remember, that was Dr. Carol Rosen paraphrasing. So, we can watch a bit of this here.
Sunday morning, 10 Eastern and Pacific. Infrastructure spending, if it were well spent, that's great. I'm all for that. I'd borrow for that, assuming we're not paying Boston big dig kind of prices for the infrastructure.
But even if you were, wouldn't John Maynard Keynes say that if you could employ people to dig a ditch and then fill it up again, that's fine. They're being productively employed. They pay taxes, so maybe Boston's big dig was just fine after all.
Think about World War II, right? That was not spending, and yet it brought us out. I mean, partly because you want to put these things together. If we say, look, we could use some inflation, Ken and I are both saying that, which is, of course, anathema to a lot of people in Washington, but is in fact what the basic logic says. It's very hard to get inflation in a depressed economy. But if you had a program of government spending plus an expansionary policy by the Fed, you could get that. So if you think about using all of these things together, you could accomplish a great deal. Space aliens were planning to attack, and we needed a massive buildup to counter the space alien threat, and really inflation and budget deficits took secondary place to that. This slump would be over in 18 months. And then if we discovered, whoops, we made a mistake, there aren't actually any space.
So we need Orson Welles, is what you're saying.
No, there was a Twilight Zone episode like this in which scientists fake an alien threat in order to achieve world peace. Well, this time we don't need it. We need it in order to get some fiscal stimulus.
All right. So there's a couple of things here I want to point out about this video. First of all, right at the very top here, it says this is channel, right here, look at it. This is the channel your government don't want you watching. Really? Your government doesn't want you watching CNN. That's what somebody's trying to get you to believe. Well, that's nonsense. CNN has been accused of being a CIA front. Therefore, the government doesn't want you watching what the CIA is putting out. Think about that for a minute. Right? Okay, you come to the same result. Stupidity, right? Of course they want you to watch this because they're planting a seed here. This joker is trying to tell you that a fake alien invasion is in the works. Now, I'm going to talk more about this when we come back because there is more stories to go along with this. They want to try to fool you, friends. They want to try to fool you, but we're going to be smarter than that so we don't get fooled. All right? Let me jump away for a minute. I'll be back. Hang tight.
Headline edition, July 8th, 1947.
One day, I was looking to the sky. I saw it. Up above the clouds, it was a silver shiny disc, floating high above the ground. Then I saw them waving to me. It was E.T. and his family. Something happened up the strength of the ground. Through the sky and shot the UFO down. Roswell, he didn't make it home. Roswell, he didn't make it home.
The Army Air Force.
All right, and I'm back. Let's continue on with some news here. All right, let's start off with space weather. Space weather. What's the weather going on for today? Well, now this is a good thing to be checking out for yourself, spaceweather.com. The reason you want to check this out is because there's a lot of solar activity taking place and things up in the cosmos that we should be aware of. Okay, it talks here about active sunspot. It says there's a new sunspot, 1272 on the sun's southeastern limb, crackling with C-class solar flares. Click here to view a specimen recorded on NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory on the 17th. So far, none of these blasts have been Earth-directed, although this could change in the days ahead of us as the active region turns to face the planet. Stay tuned. Alright, and if we look here on the left-hand column, scroll to the bottom, we can see this is their forecast for geomagnetic storms. And right down here is where we're going to look at. Today, we're dealing with a 10% chance. If you're in higher altitudes, 20% chance of something active, but nothing severe. 5% if you're in higher altitudes, 1% down lower. What's curious is if we look over here, alright, this is their mapping of potentially hazardous asteroids. Things taking place here. Now, there's one date that is not part of this, and that date is September 26th. The reason I bring September 26th up is because it is a date that is talked about in conjunction to Elenin. It is the date that seems to be signified in the back of the franc, the Swiss franc, the 10. So there seems to be some indication that something's going to happen on date, yet that's such a big momentous date that we're hearing about on one level. Why is it not even mentioned here? There's no mention of September 26th at all. So if it's such an important date that Elenin is mentioned, you would think that it would be on this listing here, but there isn't anything. The most promising or pressing one that we need to be concerned with, according to this chart, comes to us on the 8th of November, which is 2005 YU55, which will be between here and the moon. So let's just kind of pay attention to the weather, and you know, it's important. Don't buy into everything that the government's telling you about what's going on. They're not being honest with you. I'm telling you, they're not being honest. I search and I talk every day with individuals about what's going on, trying to figure out and get to the bottom of all of this. There is so much confusion and so many lies out there about this. NASA does not want to tell you the truth. They have some sort of smokescreen going on that they'll tell their employees one thing, but they don't tell everybody else. Not quite certain. Paying attention to what's going on. I do know that there's a lot of confusion, so I want you to be aware of that. So in the days ahead, as you're hearing these stories, just take them all with a grain of salt. Investigate them yourselves, because we have a lot of different conflicting dates going on, from September 11th to September 26th to into November to into October. We have dates, all these specific dates, and we're told that there were different alignments that Elenin made which caused certain earthquakes here to happen on Earth. And then we've heard stories about how solar flares have caused different earthquakes here on Earth. So far, with the Japan earthquake, there's the rumor that Elenin was in a certain position, therefore the earthquake happened because of Elenin. But then again, there was a report that came out that said there was a solar flare, a X-class solar flare, X1, that came not Earth-directed, but it was enough because it came off the sun that it affected things. And so if we were to follow suit, then, and when those events happen again, we might consider the possibility that there is some truth to it. Well, just last week, there was a X-class flare, X7, 6 times more than the last one, which was X1. Just like the previous one before the Japan quake, it wasn't directed to the Earth, and we didn't have anything happen. So if they're trying to tell us that the Japan earthquake happened because there was this X1 flare that came off the sun, not directed at the Earth, but just by the fact it went off caused problems, and they were concerned that this would be a problem when the X7 flare went off, same kind of situation, not directed at the Earth, and nothing happened, kind of makes me wonder if maybe nothing really happened the first time, and these natural environmental things are going on, and they use these to help cover up what's going on down here on Earth, which is the use of the HARP machine. Okay? Because NASA has come out to say in an article that they think HARP was used in Japan's earthquake. So people are kind of smart, and they're trying to fool you. So they're trying to fool you by attaching man-made weaponized projects to real-life environmental issues that are going on to get you to believe that the two are connected. Not necessarily so. Just keep paying attention. Now, in the media and in the world of politics, we're going to switch gears now over to Ron Paul again. In the world of politics, Ron Paul is really kicking butt out there, and the mainstream media is ignoring him. I wanted to show you today what was going on the Fox News website, because Fox News has been running a poll on their website. The poll has been to show you who is the front runners of the Republican candidates. Well, according to the poll I showed you yesterday from their own website, Ron Paul was up ahead 70%. 70% of the votes coming in were for him. 11% was for the next lowest competitor. I believe it was Bachmann. And then like 2%, well, that was Mitt Romney, the big poster child for the mainstream media to put him in. So they took it down. I went today, I was going to check on it. It's not up there because they don't want you to know. Because as of last night when I checked, Ron Paul was up to 74%. 74%. That means 3/4 of the people who voted for Ron Paul in that poll. So mainstream doesn't want to know you to know this. I'm going to play some segments now which explain exactly and give examples exactly what I was just telling you about how the mainstream is lying to you. Alright, I got to backtrack for a minute here because there was a little problem and you couldn't hear it. Here we go.
And now for your RTR News Brief. On Comedy Central's The Daily Show with Jon Stewart last night, he asked the question everyone wants the answer to. Why is everyone still ignoring Ron Paul? In the segment, Stewart shows clips of the major news networks completely ignoring the fact that Ron Paul is a frontrunner in the 2012 presidential race.
This pretending Ron Paul doesn't exist for some reason has been going on for weeks.
A new Gallup survey showing Rick Perry running second to Mitt Romney, knocking down Iowa favorite Michelle Bachmann to fourth.
Behind who? Fourth behind who? How did libertarian Ron Paul become the 13th floor in a hotel?
The day before Stewart went on the air, the Associated Press came out with a piece titled, Once a Fringe Candidate, Paul Shaping 2012 Race. The article states that Ron Paul is, quote, giving voice to the party's libertarian wing and reflecting frustration with the United States international entanglements. While most of the mainstream media is still shunning Paul, some outlets are coming around to the top-tier candidate. Rick Perry is trying to distance himself from shady deals with vaccine manufacturers. In 2007, he attempted to use an executive order to force all...
Alright, we're going to skip off of Rick Perry because they're just going to talk about he's another Republican that lies, and guess what? No surprise there, right? Okay. Moving right along from Ron Paul on to more Ron Paul. This time, this is a story at Fox News, and it's Judge Napolitano, and he's had Ron Paul on a number of times, so I want you to hear this because Judge is good. Here we go.
So now with Pawlenty dropping out, Rick Perry dropping in, and Michelle Bachmann and Ron Paul dominating, dominating the Ames straw poll, we got ourselves a race.
We have a top tier. It is Mitt Romney, Rick Perry, and Michelle Bachmann.
We have a new top tier, and it's Perry, Mitt Romney, and Bachmann.
There's now a top tier in this race, at least for now, of Romney, Perry, and Bachmann.
I mean, I think that's fair to say.
Really fair to say? You're not forgetting, I don't know, anyone, say an ideologically consistent 12-term congressman who came within less than 200 votes of winning the straw poll? Isn't anyone going to give that gentleman a little love?
Isn't anyone going to give that gentleman a little love? Jon Stewart's got a point. I love my colleagues Bret Baier and Chris Wallace, but Jon Stewart has a point. How is it the media can overlook Congressman Paul's campaign success last weekend? Here to answer that is GOP strategist Jack Berkman. Jack, it's a pleasure.
Judge, always good to see you.
Welcome back to the show.
Good to be here.
Are you surprised that even though Ron Paul came within 0.9 of 1 percentage point of Congresswoman Bachmann, she first, he second, that he's not even mentioned by the media as one of the top-tier contenders?
Oh, not at all. I mean, this is, if ever, people say the media picks the candidates. Well, this is an example. This is the most grievous and exaggerated example of candidate picking I've ever seen. Now, the question is, why do they do that? This is the two-party system. The media has a vested interest in the two-party system. Their contacts are there. Their people are there. It's a horse race. They present this to the American public, which is, fairly simplistic. They like a horse race. They can sell this. It works.
I remember primary elections in 76 and 80. I'm showing my age. Where a governor from a far western state was ignored by the media and ignored by the media and ignored by the media and called an extremist and said he was too old until suddenly he started to win primaries. Of course, that was Ronald Reagan. Now everybody reveres. Even the Democrats try and jump on Reagan's coattails. Don't they understand history? Don't they see how they can ignore somebody and that might actually gin up public support for the person?
They're doing that with Ron Paul. Ron Paul could be a surprise candidate. I mean, and they're doing it to a degree with Bachmann as well. I mean, look, it's no secret. I mean, the media loves. You've got Bachmann, you've got Perry. These are great-looking people. It becomes like Access Hollywood. I mean, all of it flows together. This is what the system wants. But I tell you, Judge, here's the real story here. When you talk about how the Washington establishment chokes off freedom, the media is part of that. This is how they do it. They choke off third-party candidates. They choke off guys like Ron Paul. It's not just the media. Think of them as part of the powerful Washington establishment that wants the people they want. It's like the boa constrictor. It's the anaconda.
All right,
it chokes everything.
But Ron Paul is good television, and Ron Paul is good for the media because he says things in sound bites, because he challenges accepted norms, because he is so unorthodox, because he is so consistent with his values. Isn't that, quote, good press? Isn't that top of the fold for the media?
No, because it's good for an entity like Fox News that likes all the right things, and it's good for certain outlets, but the establishment media, no, because they don't have any ties there. You think ABC News likes that and CBS News likes that? No, because if you had the Ron Paul White House, they would be sealed out. They wouldn't know a person. They worry maybe Ron Paul wouldn't have them in the front row. Anything could happen.
All right, what will have to happen for the media to begin talking about Ron Paul? I mean, at some point, like the Reagan example, they simply cannot stay credible and ignore him.
It feeds into the broader question of what has to happen for a third party to rise, and it's very, very difficult. He's going to just have to keep winning. He's going to have to do, but this could be his year. He's leaving his congressional seat. He's completely focused.
Right.
He's the most ideologically consistent guy in the history of American politics, bar none. He reminds me a little bit of Ralph Nader in that he's one of the only true believers. He and Ralph Nader are probably the two guys that I've seen up close in American politics who are true believers.
And opposite ends of the spectrum. Jack Berkman, it's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
All right. So as you can see, you hear it themselves. They talk about what's going on. They tell you how they keep them down. All right. Here we go. This one, I'm only going to play a part of it because this is a 23-minute deal. But this is Ron Paul speaking out about the media blackout that he is experiencing. So let's hear in his own words.
Have you been shafted?
I don't know what the word is, but if somebody else volunteers that term, I'm not going to argue with them. But something strange went on, and all of a sudden I got less than I usually had because of a close second place. It seemed like the reverse should have occurred. Because I've always argued that, it's not as much and exactly like candidates won, but I thought I've been treated pretty fairly and all. you know, over the years and even in the last year, even since the campaign's been going on. But it was a bit strange about what happened on the weekend. And I had been asked, you know, was I shocked that it happened? Not really. It wasn't totally unexpected, but being asked whether I was disappointed, yeah, I'm disappointed, because most of us like to see that we, you know, get credit for some achievements. And I personally believe that we did have an achievement and that it reflected good organization. And most important to me is I like to think that it reflects that more and more people are accepting some of my arguments. That's, of course, why I'm in this, is to make sure people vote for significant change and philosophic change that will have a real impact both on our foreign policy and on our economy, which I believe is the only way you can get our jobs back.
All right, so there's a lot more to that. There's another 22 minutes. So be able to check that out yourself, but I'm going to move along. And again, one more thing here. This is the new Ron Paul commercial. Last 1 minute. I want you to watch this as well.
It's the story of a lost city, lost opportunity, lost hope. A story of failed policies, failed leadership. A story of smooth-talking politicians, games of he said, she said, rhetoric and division. One man has stood apart, stood strong and true, voting against every tax increase, every unbalanced budget, every time. Standing up to the Washington machine, guided by principle. Ron Paul, the one who will stop the spending, save the dollar, create jobs, bring peace. The one who will restore liberty. Ron Paul, the one who can beat Obama and restore America now.
I'm Ron Paul, and I approve this message.
Alrighty, there we go. Now, if you haven't figured out by now, I'm all behind Ron Paul. I hope that he wins this election. He's a good man. Dr. Paul has a lot of good things that he's trying to help this country with. So if you're out there and you're tired of liars, if you're tired of politicians that lie, then you need to take a look further at what Ron Paul's all about, because he goes against the liars. That's why they're not wanting to put him out on the news. Okay? Because he's a threat to them. Because they lie. The news lies. Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, any other the mainstream newspapers you could think of. They all lie. They have a vested interest to keep lying because they want to keep making money and doing things in a corrupt way. They don't want to follow the Constitution. And then Ron Paul, he keeps mentioning that C word, and they don't like it. Constitution. And every time he brings it up, they cringe because they're trying to get rid of the Constitution. Well, we need to keep it in. We need someone like Ron Paul who's going to stand up and fight for all of that. All right? All right. Now we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about brainwashing. And the first one we're going to talk about is Michio Kaku. We're going to see what this guy has to say, and it seems like he's just become a shill for the government. Let's find out what he has to say right here.
A crisis of leadership. We've been talking about this all week. But what if there was some sort of outer space crisis? An alien invasion sounds crazy, perhaps, but then who thought we'd ever see the stock market swing 5% a day all week long? So maybe it's not as far-fetched as it sounds. If aliens invaded, who would step up to lead us in that fight, and could we even win? That's just one of the questions the Discovery Channel's new series, Curiosity, looks at. Joining me now is physics professor Michio Kaku, who is a consultant for the series. Professor, welcome. The biggest question before we get any invasion is, do aliens even exist, and how would we know?
Well, the Kepler satellite currently orbiting in outer space has identified about 50 planets that seem very much Earth-like. In fact, every week we discover another Jupiter-sized planet in outer space. Now, to be sure, most of them probably have no more than microbial life, just germs. But a few of them may have intelligent life, perhaps even more advanced than what we have on Earth.
Now, so how did this? How does this actually work? When Discovery decided they were going to do a show on alien invasions, your phone rings because you're on the sort of speed dial for theoretical physicists who can help them do the war game for how this might play out?
Well, believe it or not, we physicists have actually studied the question of what happens if we do encounter a hostile advanced civilization in space. And Hollywood gets it all wrong. Hollywood assumed that the aliens are maybe 100 years more advanced than us, and if only we had a secret weapon, we can defeat the aliens. Wrong. Either the aliens don't bother with us because we're simply too primitive, or if they do invade, it'll be more like Bambi versus Godzilla.
And why do you say that? What techniques will they have that we can't even imagine?
Think of the fact that they could be 1,000, 1,000,000 years more advanced than us. Realize that the universe is 13.7 billion years old, and so it's conceivable that they could have weapons that we can't even conceive of. Now, in my own point of view, look at how the barbarians eventually defeated the Romans. The barbarians didn't have a secret of weapons by which they defeated Caesar and the Romans. No. They learned technology from the Romans. They imported technology. They learned the technology of the Romans and then used it against the Roman Empire. That's how they won.
So then how would we, I know it sounds implausible, but if something like this were to happen, how would we defend ourselves as a planet?
Well, initially, we would have to probe them to find out exactly how advanced they are. Do they have nuclear weapons? Do they have radio and radar communications technology? Or do they have a whole new generation of weapons that we can't even conceive of? Now, remember that for the most part, alien civilizations in outer space are not going to come to plunder us because there are plenty of uninhabited planets out there with resources. So for the most part, they're going to leave us alone. However, if, on the other hand, one day they do attack, we have to be prepared for the fact that they're going to overwhelm us in the opening shots of a war.
All right, there. That's about enough of that. So, again, they're preparing you for some sort of alien attack. Okay, you've heard it on the other channel. Now you heard Michio here talking about it again. These people are trying to prepare you. What are they preparing you for? Well, let me show you. Oh, Project Bluebeam. That's right, Project Bluebeam. And if we go down and look at Project Bluebeam, they have several different things, 4 phases. First phase is engineered earthquakes and hoaxes discovered. Then we got a big space show in the sky. And we keep scrolling down. Artificial thought and communication to get into your head, make you think you're hearing things, seeing things. And we keep going down here, and universal supernatural manifestations via electronics. And here we go. The 4th step concerns the universal supernatural manifestation with electronic means. It contains 3 different orientations. 1 is to make mankind believe that an alien invasion is about to occur at every major city on Earth in order to provoke each major nation to use its nuclear weapons in order to strike back. This way the United Nations, or the United Nations Court, will require all those nations will launch nuclear weapons to disarm when the invasion will have shown to have been false. And how will the United Nations know that the invasion will be false? Well, they will be the ones to have staged it. So, right there in their very own, very own information, my friends. Doesn't take too much to search. Project Bluebeam. Check it out. So when you hear these stories that they're trying to plant that aliens are going to come and attack you, think twice about it. Let's talk about that for a second. We all know that there's ships out there. I've shown you every single day that we're on here another UFO sighting. Every single day you see them. Now, the element of surprise is gone, at least from the standpoint of us knowing that they're out there. Correct? We see them. We are aware. So if they are going to attack, they're attacking knowing that we are already aware of the presence of all the ships. And therefore they must have some superior technology that they're just going to zip down and wipe everybody out. Or they don't have the element of surprise on their favor because we know that they're already here. They're not going to attack. They want to help us and they want to participate in this graduation that we're about to go through. That's another possible scenario. But you don't hear that talked about. You don't hear the thing of what if they come down in peace to offer us some opportunity. No, all you hear is the fear-mongering. What if they come down to kill? What if they come down to start a war, to invade? Well, Earthlings, it's time to grow up. You know, you've had this same really piss-poor attitude for such a long time. The Earth stood still. And then what was the other one? The new one, Keanu Reeves just did did the second one of alien comes down, and what do? Shoot him. He had something to offer humankind, but they shot him. That's the mentality. Shoot first, ask questions later. You know what? There is a reptilian problem, as you heard Dirk talk about. In the government, the reptilians are already here. George Bush Sr., members of Parliament, members, the Queen, members of the UK, members of world governments. There's your reptilians. There's your cold-blooded individuals. They already are here, and guess what? They're killing you. They're killing your sons and your daughters, sending them off to wars. They're killing them by running heart projects, and then nuclear problems occur, and people are getting radiated. They're killing people by running programs here in the United States that's flooding out this country into farmland. Yeah, there is a problem. It has to do with the cold-blooded reptilians that are already down here, infiltrated the governments of this planet. That's what needs to be stopped. The ones on the outside, they're not coming here to attack you. Don't listen to the idiots like the Michio Kakus and all the others that are trying to tell you that. And I know Michio's a smart guy, but Michio, what are you saying? What are you doing? Why are you lying to people? You know better than that. And you know that karma's going to come back around and smack you upside the head for something that you're saying that's so stupid. So use your intelligence that God gave you, Michio, and tell people the truth and quit lying to them, because that's not right at all. You're a smart guy. Act like it. Now, I'm going to show you an example here of this Project Bluebeam. I want you to see a little bit of...
The Morrises are experts in non-lethal weapons technology. They are consultants to the Defense Department, CIA, NSA, and world-renowned think tanks.
The technology necessary to project three-dimensional images to a point in space requires no new breakthroughs in science. We have the technology now.
Overall, the non-lethal weapons development program is aimed at giving our military options between talking and shooting.
Specific system development, we really can't talk about.
But the Morrises did talk in general about secret military experiments with lifelike 3D projections in the sky called holograms.
Holograms on a battlefield would be to divert the attention of the enemy, to deliver propaganda or something very frightening to make the enemy run away if you think that he will believe that what you're sending is really an angel, a devil, a UFO.
And where could this type of weaponry be tested? Perhaps not coincidentally, along the US-Mexico border at the Army's electronic proving ground in Fort Huachuca, Arizona.
Keep in mind that test facilities like Fort Huachuca in Arizona are electrical optical test beds, and part of what they're testing are the effects of these electro-optical devices on a target population.
And the target population may be us.
America has to test American equipment in America. American citizens have been damaged by testing.
All right, so you heard them talk about this technology they use on the enemies. Guess what? They're using it on you. Put those two together. Technology they want to use as a non-lethal device against their enemies. They're using it against you. Ergo, they think you are the enemies. Okay? Your very governments think you are the enemy. So not only is the New World Agenda trying to come down upon you physically, They are trying to get you to believe that beings outside of this planet are going to come down to get you. They have such liars in this government that we've got going on right now that it's no longer sufficient to lie to the people that there's others on this planet out to get you. They now are going to lie about beings on other planets. Really? Lying about beings on other planets. That's not right, but we can all change that by standing up and knowing the truths, my friends. You see, bad things only happen when good people say and do nothing. Okay? Good people, you need to speak up. You need to pass this information around. You need to share it with others about what's going on these kind of shows. There's a lot of other shows like this, alternative media, InfoWars, the Intel Hub. We've got Jeff Rentz. You got the Drudge Report. Shows, places where you can go to gather information. There's a lot more. Don't just limit it to those. AboveTopSecret.com is another place you can go. Check these out. Stay on top of the information. You'll be glad that you did, because in the long run, the most important thing is that you are informed, because this is all a personal experience we're all going through down here. Regardless of the fact that we're all together as a group and going through it as a group, we're all individuals within that group that are having our own individual revelations and our own individual progressions in life. We need to work together, both individually and as a team. Okay? Now, let's close things off with our meditation for today. Go ahead and close your eyes, my friends. Today's meditation is real simple. I just want you to imagine that you're seated in the emptiness of space, floating. I want you to imagine all your chakras are turned on, starting with the chakra at your bottom of your spine, which is the color red. And imagine it drawing the energy from the earth below. And then raise that energy from that chakra up to the chakra above it, and the color is orange. And imagine that color, imagine that chakra filled with energy. This is your emotional center. And then raise the energy up there higher, just below the rib cage. Imagine the color yellow. This is your solar plexus. This is the area that deals with your intelligence, your intellectual body. Raise the energy up from there to your heart space. Imagine the color green. This is your heart chakra. Raise the energy up to your throat. The color is blue. This is your throat chakra of communication. Then raise the energy up to the third eye, which is just above the nose, right between the eyebrows. Imagine the color violet. And then finally to the top of your head, indigo is the color. And then imagine the light going up to the cosmos, bright white. And there you are, floating in the midst of space, connected above and below. Allow your energy to overflow your body, forming the spiritual armor, and just see it radiating out in all directions. And now imagine yourself no longer floating in space, but in the middle of the planet. And as you are sending out these waves of energy from your body, these waves of light, this protective armor, extend it out as a protective barrier around this planet. Know that we have the ability and opportunity to use our light and channel it as protective means. Let's use this light to go into all of the minds of those on the planet to help them to see clearly. For the light illuminates the problems in the darkness so that they can be eradicated. And imagine sending love now to each and every one around the planet. Love will make a difference to the reptilian heart, the cold-blooded nature that needs to be loved. Now, continuing to send out love all around the planet, continuing to send out your protective energies all around the planet, joining with all those who are doing exactly the same thing right now. Let's bring our energy and attention back to the present moment on the count of 3. And additionally, let's just think of good thoughts for the world today. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. That's it. Check out your arms and legs, my friends. Another day is upon us. You now know what's going on for the course of today. Go out there and be smart in the world, my friends. Don't let yourself be fooled. You have the ability to rise above the illusions that are being portrayed in front of your eyes. All you have to do is trust. And if you pay attention and you listen with ears that are open, you'll hear the lies very clearly and you'll understand. And once you hear the lies, well, you'll know what the truth is, and you'll know which way to go. Because the truth will always set you free, and the lies will always point you in the wrong direction. Paying attention will help you to know the difference. That's the show for today, my friends. It's been a pleasure as always. For Dirk Bradshaw, my name is Josh Poet. We'll be back again tomorrow with more news and information, first contact style. Till then, you have a great day, great night. Talk to you tomorrow. Peace. I'm out of here.